Alright, so currently on the channel I have 2 thinking videos from last week. Thank you to the TI community, in which on the X, the gentleman had asked, what about the biocyber interface? Why do we want to say no to it, etc.? Well, unbeknownst to him, because I was working on biosignals and such this morning, I grabbed a different college textbook set that Corinne had sent over with the patient data explained right there in the routing with the MAC ID protocols, and then the AI in healthcare and what it's capable of. Okay, so those 2 are now loaded. And now what we're going to take a look at from June 2002, Converging Technologies for Improving Human Performance, Nanotechnology, Biotechnology, Information Technology, and Cognitive Science. And this is put together for the White House. Let me go back up here to the table of contents so you understand, okay? When the government decides, hey, this is how we're going to spend your money, people in the United States, they believe that they have a vote. Well, that's the National Science Foundation, see, in June 2002. Not 2022, no, 2002. Nano.gov is no joke. One of the biggest problems that I find with people is they have no idea at all that any of this is going on. At least that's what they claim, until we find out what their jobs are. But there are people out there who legitimately are obviously not involved in information and communication technology, electrical engineering, biomedical engineering, okay? Or your intelligence community and the police and the U.S. Marshals, or AT&T and Verizon and all their special routing companies. Yeah, it's a pretty big system, just so we're clear. However, your politicians knew. Your government employees know. No doubt about it, okay? And people who went to fight the 5G, like Lou and others, found out that people locally had contracts for installing this equipment, and then the 5G was lied about, so nobody could agree on what it was and what it could do or why. Then we ended up with more red herrings. There's no nano, there's no 5G. Just sit there and be quiet and chill. It'll all blow over. It's a vaccine. Well, this is back in 2002. And in case you don't know, here's your Agenda 2030. Let me help you out, because we have several papers to get through. Trying to clear off some of this for y'all out there so you have it. I have been loading papers on the X as well for people who are interested. So again, Internet of Things and digital twin applications in the health sector. A framework of converging you with the internet, whether you like it or not. The Internet of Things, information communication technologies integrated into all those things, the mesh networking with all those things, and it's for your health. And it's for your health. And it's for your health. And the future of healthcare, of course, since everyone wants to be healed now, well, they're going to log in, and within 48 hours, they can cure you of anything you have. Now, you would think that because it's about health, wouldn't that be the moment that as a normie, you'd be like, hey, can somebody please tell me HOW this is done? Did anybody notice that the normies don't seem real interested? They're very distracted, okay? There's a very solid reason for that, and it's called neural modulation. While they were busy working everybody up about there's fluoride in the water, they've actually been very busy logging into human bodies for load balancing body area networks, which is very, very important in order to maintain that precision and acuity, shooting those integrated circuits and beam steering them into people's tissue from a distance. Okay, I will get to that, but hang on. So we're looking right at it. It's the biodigital convergence. What does it say? Engineering, nanotechnology, biotechnology, and that information technology and cognitive science. Ain't no conspiracy theory, yet again. No Masons, no Illuminati. It's the ooze. This isn't about religions. Yes, it is. It's a spiritual war. All right. Most of us believe that, yeah, but we can't even get there because those of you out there that do believe that, you seem to have a problem with the way God made the body perfectly. We have an immune system. We have an interstitium. Yeah, and we have a human anatomical missing chunk of anatomy. And even though people have said, yeah, we hid a bunch of physics away during the Cold War and it just kind of popped back up. Okay, well, we should probably talk about that because, again, Japanese foot binding, not such a good idea. And then eventually everybody went, it's not such a good idea. Shouldn't really be doing that, augmenting our bodies that way. It's just not working out. Okay, how about the movie Footloose? We're not going to dance, it's evil, all that kind of garbage. And then people get to the point where they're like, why are we doing this? So that is why when I ask you, why are you lying about human anatomy if you're saving the world? Makes sense? And if you do believe it's a spiritual war, same question. Why lie about the anatomical, aim and fire, being tethered, and HOW, your telehealth and mHealth, your future of healthcare work? Right. So here we are, and it's the same exact 20-year-old concept. They tell you right there, right away. And then when it comes to, a lot has changed in the last 20 years, okay? All these different genomics, metagenomics, transcriptomics, microbiomics, these are all omics. See other videos or Google Fingers, omics. And they're logging in and out, and they're playing with synthetic biology. They're at South by Southwest. Get your organoids and organelles. We're going to make you a little less biological and a little more synthetic. And then other people, well, they're doing that so that we can survive the plasma storms. And I look at those of you that believe that, and I'm like, you do realize they control the weather? Right? Encyclopedia Britannica, it's called geoengineering. You're welcome. So weather treaties are also in the Library of Congress in the 70s. But again, well, they're doing this to us so they can save us. And yet nobody knows about it, and nobody's willing to talk about it for what it is, and return human anatomy to humans so that they can make their own decisions. That's called body autonomy. That's called consent. And last I checked, the millennials and such, they're pretty big on that, consent and body autonomy. And if I say soul sovereignty, they look at me and they're like, I don't really believe in that. Okay, well then body autonomy. And we're still back to the same problem. I don't want to be on this system. Well, I'm sorry. It's our warfare doctrine as well as our surveillance doctrine, as well as our new healthcare system. Therefore, you would think we would be talking about it. No, we're told we don't even know how it would work. The president is nuts. The Oracle guy is crazy. SoftBank is broke. Elon is pissed. And we need to be wrapped up in, something about what the pastor said in Melania's dress. Meanwhile, back in 2002, here we are. Converging technologies for improving human performance. Nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, and cognitive science. Well, that's what it says, and that's what it is, and that's what they're doing. A motivation and outlook. National strategy towards converging science and technology. Converging technologies and competitiveness. Vision for the converging technologies. Does that say N. Gingrich? Zone of convergence between bioinfo nanotechnologies. NASA. That says NASA. Okay, here you go, right? NASA's Nanotechnology Initiative. Biomedicine Eyes 2020. Balancing opportunities and investments for NBIC. The impact of convergent technologies in the future of business and the economy. Coherence and divergence of megatrends in science and engineering. These people are very proud of themselves, so how come we can't get anybody to start talking about that NBICS? You know, Nanobioinfocognosocio. Convergence to improve human performance. Sensor system engineering insights on improving human cognition and communication. Can nanotechnology dramatically affect the architecture of future communications networks? Spatial cognition and converging technologies. Visual language and converging technologies in the next 10 to 15 years and beyond. Sociable technologies enhancing human performance when the computer is not a tool but a companion. Visionary projects. Sociotech, the predictive science of societal behavior. Breaking the limits on design complexity. Enhancing personal area sensory and social communication through converging technologies. The consequences of fully understanding the brain. User interface Olympics, using competition to drive innovation. Accelerating convergence of biotechnology, nanotechnology, and information technology. Improving human health and physical capabilities. Statement, nanobiotechnology and what? What's it say? Life extension. What did I tell you? It's right here. Here we are again. More government documents from 2002. The nanobio connection and its implication for human performance. Gene therapy. Reinventing the wheel or useful adjunct to existing paradigms. Implications of the continuum of bioinformatics. Sensory replacement and sensory substitution. Overview and prospects for the future. Vision statement, interacting brain, focusing the possibilities of nanotechnology for cognitive evolution and human performance. Science and technology in the triple D, disease, disability, and defect. Do you people ever focus on doing something positive? Because you really, at this point, with as much reading as I've been doing, I'm starting to wonder. I told you, it's depopulation. Well, I would call it eugenics, because it is genetic engineering. That's eugenics. You know, those things that we said we didn't do here in America. Yet, here we are. Okay, back to the visionary projects for converging technologies for improving human performance. Brain-machine interface via a neurovascular approach. Let me just define that for you quick so you understand how antiquated Neuralink really is. That neurovascular approach is your surgical or medical treatment that addresses conditions affecting the brain, spinal cord, and blood vessels. Neurovascular approaches use advanced technology to diagnose and treat issues like aneurysm, strokes, and blockages in the blood vessels. Stentrodes. Endovascular surgery, a minimally invasive procedure that uses a catheter to access the blood vessels through a small incision. More traditional surgical approach that allows them to directly repair the tissue. Combination of open surgery and endovascular techniques. Hang on. A synchron stentrode is a brain-computer interface device that allows paralyzed people to control external devices with their thoughts. It's a small, stent-like electrode array that's implanted in the brain's motor cortex through the jugular vein. Picking up signals. Now, let's see. The development of the synchron stentrode, a brain-computer interface device, began around 2010 with an Australian neurologist and biomedical engineer starting work on the concept, making it roughly 13 years old. As of today, The first human implants were conducted more recently, 2022. Stent electrode recording array. Small stent electrode array permanently implanted into a blood vessel in the brain without the need for open brain surgery. It is in clinical trials as a brain-computer interface for people who are paralyzed who will use their neural signals or their neural signals or thoughts to control external devices, which currently include computer operating systems. The device may ultimately be used to control powered exoskeletons, robotic prosthesis, computers, or other devices. Oh, they wouldn't want that. No, surely, no, because nobody wants to regain those abilities, etc. And, it's always for the paraplegics. So, that neurovascular approach is back here in 2002. That's why with Neuralink, they're like, yeah, we'll cut your head open. They're doing that to make it faster, by the way, for the ones that want the Microsoft OpenAI Azure system on a chip. And they embed a chip in your head. Yeah, but not everybody does want that. So there's many other ways to go about it, especially with nanotechnology and read-write to the brain. The way it's set up nowadays, it's much more about the nanodust and recombining itself into a receiver and transceiver that can be magnetically or electrically or electromagnetically accessed. How? 802.15.4. The intra-body area network some more. Human-machine interaction, potential impact of nanotechnology in the design of neuroprosthetic devices aimed at restoring or augmenting human performance. Nanotechnology, the merging of diagnostics and treatment. Artificial brains and natural intelligence. Converging technology for physiological self-regulation. Improving the quality of life of disabled people using converging technologies. So, enhancing group and social outcomes, national security, cognitive readiness and important research for national security, DARPA's programs in enhancing human performance, NBIC, nanobio info for homeland defense, chemical, biological, radiological, explosive detection, protection, future roles for science and technology and counterterrorism, nanotechnology in the Department of Defense, advanced military education and training, and on we go. Now, look at this. Just look, okay? Watch this. Converging technologies for improving human performance. We've all been to IIT Sec Super Soldiers last September, okay? This is 2002. Space Force was created when? When was Space Force created? 2019, okay? Watch this. Oh, what are you? Arrow. Yeah, the Arrow office. And then we're going to chase down all the aliens. Well, that would be the engineered biological entities that you control with your little scooting around with your plasma orbs that you're creating in our natural biosphere of plasmonics. Especially given that you need craft that can go underwater. And when it gets high enough in our atmosphere, it ends up a lot more jelly-like with all the different plasma resurfacing, if you will, riding the jet stream in different ways that they are beam steering with those integrated circuits to create the effects that they want, when they want, where they want. And yet, there's your NBIC, Nano, Bio, Cogno, Info, Arrow, changing the societal fabric towards a new structure. Converging technologies for improving human performance. The integration and synergy of the four technologies, Nano, Bio, Info, Cogno, originate from the nanoscale, where the building blocks of matter are established. See, if we hid all our physics away real early on and throughout the Cold War, well, they didn't go away. They were hidden. So now we get to deal with hiding all this for all this time, catching up as best we can, and then figuring out what in the hell are we going to do about this. And that's why all of us have gone the route of education, because basically we couldn't believe that people wouldn't look up at the sky and admit geoengineering, even though it's in the Encyclopedia Britannica. and they use word games. The aura is fake, but the biofield is on the NIH. Bioelectromagnetics is the study of electromagnetism in the human body, but everybody crazy unless you're working for them. And there's no God, there's just Bill Gates. Because, we're just so stupid. We have no idea what consciousness is, what neurons do. Oh, woe is us. Why don't we get everybody fighting over religions? Oh, because we haven't done that before. Okay, watch this. So the integration and synergy of those four technologies, nano, bio, info, and cogno, originate from the nanoscale, where the building blocks of matter are established. This picture symbolizes the confluence of technologies that now offers the promise of improving human lives in many ways, and the realignment of traditional disciplinary boundaries that will be needed to realize this potential. New and more direct pathways towards human goals are envisioned in working habits, in economic activity, and in the humanities. NBIC, Nano, Bio, Cogno, Info, Arrow. This picture suggests advancement of converging technologies. Wow. Amazing. With the whole Arrow office too, right? Yeah. Okay. So, let's see. I think I said, or I wanted to look at page 300 and something. Hang on. The challenges to life extension in developed and developing countries. Okay. So target groups, developed countries, aging populations only. Developing countries, all age groups. Quality of life problems, loss of strength and mobility, loss of mental sharpness, neurological disease, social isolation and poverty. Major causes of death and disability, cardiovascular disease, diabetes and complications, comorbidities, inflammatory diseases including arthritis, cancer, neurological diseases or impairment. In developing countries, quality of life problems, environmental lack of safe water, sanitation, disease-related loss of earnings, poverty, and major causes of death and disability, malnutrition, infectious diseases, parasites, and cardiovascular disease. Governments in the developed world, including the UK, Foresight Consultation Document in 1999, have started to develop an awareness of the needs of the increasingly aged populations they have and will have in the first half of the century. Major disease groups or medical conditions that are the major causes of death or disability in the aging populations of the developed countries of the world have been identified. For example, according to the WHO in 2000, in 1999, around 30% of deaths worldwide were caused by cardiovascular disease and 12% by cancer. The problems of the developing world are quite different, and it might be argued that unless life extension in this environment is addressed by those who have the technology and wealth to do so, then the stability of developed societies worldwide will be affected. So, hang on. A key element of this top-down approach to consider the whole human being and not merely the immediate interface of nanobiotechnology with its target problem. The ability to view the needs in this area from a biomedical perspective that starts with the whole human and works down through organ and cellular levels to the molecular nanoscale level will be an essential component of projects with successful outcomes in this field. There is little point in developing isolated advanced technological systems or medical treatments to find that they solve one problem only to generate many others. For example, ingenious micro devices with nanoscale features that might patrol blood vessels or carry out tissue repairs have been suggested and designed. Now we know HDIC nanocasualty care with the DoD. However, and Professor Jordan's work. However, there has been little detailed discussion or consideration at this stage, 2002, regarding biocompatibility issues, particularly of the thrombogenicity, clot-forming potential of these devices, or of their immunogenicity, ability to stimulate an unwanted immune response. Unwanted. In this area, as in many others, there is a need for multidisciplinary teams in 2002 to work together from the outset of projects to bring medicine and technology together. Biodigitally converge me, baby. Ideally, please don't. Ideally, these research teams would include clinicians, biomedical scientists, and engineers, rather than being technologist-led projects that ignore much of the vast wealth of information we already discovered about the human body through medical and biomedical research. Accepting this need for biomedically informed project design also leads to the conclusion that understanding the cell-molecule interface, in other words, the micro-nanoscale interactions, will be a factor in the extended application of nanobiotechnology. To create a holistic approach to widespread and successful introduction of nanobiotechnologies in life extension will require interdisciplinary teams and exchange of information. Figure C1 illustrates the possible levels of intervention and some of the emerging solutions where nanobiotechnology will have a role in repair or replacement of damaged elements. Artificial organs, hang on. Improved joint replacement, non-invasive and invasive diagnostics for rapid patient monitoring, cognitive assist devices, targeted cancer therapies. Artificial organs, sensors for in vivo monitoring, in vivo, in situ, in place of origin, inside you, in vivo. Localized drug delivery, wireless drugging, nature journals. Neural stimulation, cardiac materials and therapies, improved cell material interactions, scaffolds for tissue engineering, genetic therapies, cell aging, stem cell therapies, localized drug delivery, this is at the molecular scale, so we went human, organ, cell, molecule. Localized drug delivery, gene therapy devices, self-assembly structures, fast diagnostic techniques. Oh, they don't know. Oh, nobody got paid, nobody was working on it, it's so compartmentalized. People, come on now. Come on. This is a very large engineered system of controlling humans using the anatomy they don't even know they have, bullying them with religion or aliens, blaming it on the AI or the rain. They're the ones holding the logins. They're the ones logging into bodies. They're the ones going to work and doing this to other people. There's not some magic supercomputer that's going out there and doing this to everybody. They use these systems to do this to everybody. So the need for a holistic approach, some specific problems. As previously stated in 2002, there are a number of identified medical challenges that might benefit from intervention with nanobiotechnology. Many of these are long-term problems that have not been resolved by current technological or medical solutions. The following section is intended to briefly introduce some of these problems. The human materials interface. Many of the disease conditions in the human body and deaths during surgical intervention can be traced to the body's inbuilt ability to react to foreign materials or wound sites through that cytokine storm, its inflammatory response. In normal disease or wounds, this ensures the proper activation of the immune response or of a clotting response from coagulation factors in blood. In extreme conditions or at a chronic wound site, the cascade reaction triggers a full inflammatory response that is harmful to tissue. In cardiovascular surgery, for example, reaction to physical intervention and surgical materials can lead to systemic inflammatory response syndrome, and in small percentage of cases will in turn lead to multiple organ failure and death. The appearance of an inflammatory response following blood contact with a biomaterial can be readily measured in the molecular markers that are generated during the response, such as cytokines, you starting to see how this works yet? I'm serious. This is super dangerous to go out there and continue screaming vaccine when you guys got logins all over. The appearance of an inflammatory response following blood contact with biomaterial can be measured in the molecular markers, molecular communication with MIT since 2011, that are generated during the response, such as cytokines. Actually, I think MIT is 2015 forward, but double check. The reasons for the inflammatory response lie in molecular and cellular reactions at foreign surfaces. Nanobiotechnology could contribute to this field both in terms of increasing the understanding of how the nanoscale events take place on particular materials, cue our terahertz video, and in terms of creating new, more biocompatible surfaces for use in surgery. Welcome to BioBricks and protein folding and micro devices for cell electrode interfacing for both cardiac and neural cells, artificial organs and tissue engineering. Significant amounts of time, money, and research effort are being directed to the field of tissue engineering for skin, cartilage, bone, and heart tissue regeneration or repair, as well as for other types of tissue. In 2002, biopolymer scaffolds are the material of choice for the seeding of cells to grow replacement tissue at the macro or fiber level. Much is known about these scaffolds, but little time has been devoted to the nanoscale effects of topography or surface molecular treatments that could be influenced by nanobiotechnology. Genetic techniques. The explosion in the field of genetics has led to the availability of a range of diagnostic tests for predisposition to illnesses, including cancer. Although final expression of many illnesses may have strong environmental factors that must be taken into account, together with the possibility of gene therapy for specific diseases, this offers new hope of life extension to many people. For example, hereditary lung conditions such as cystic fibrosis are being targeted by gene therapy to replace missing or deficient genes. 1998. Study of how cells age is being taken up by many research groups, and again in 2002, offers hope for many potential victims of cancer and degenerative disease. They're doing great, aren't they? They're under everybody's skin. They're playing around to having DNA parties, according to our divine lady with the red phone. Everybody else thinks that when the president gets up there with the Oracle guy, who they're blaming for everything, but then again, they keep claiming it's not here, it's not real, we don't know what we're doing, for 20 years? That's without dragging you over to nano.gov so you can see how old a bunch of this is. Okay? We got problems. Because again, nobody went home to the dinner table and said, honey, what do you actually do at work? So then when Trump was like, here, tell them what you're going to do. We're going to cure cancer in 48 hours. And then we got Santa Claus Malone. Making excuses for covering up for the censor hunters. And all this software and hardware and all this testing with a human genome project, visible human project. Multiple scales of biological activity and form comprise the entire organism. The continuum of bioinformatics is an information system that includes and can correlate information from all these scalar of data. Though not shown in the figure, the aggregation of individual data into societal data, those would be your massive data sets. You've been feeding your digital twin everything you do, as in the form of healthcare statistics, is extremely valuable, since it places the individual's data within the context of society as a whole. Well, there's your, I'm going to send to where your city structure can have a relationship with you, and if you piss off your neighbors, your behavior will change through your tissue, that intra-body network you didn't ask for. Isn't that nice? And they won't ask your permission. It's an algorithm, which is smarter than you. So it works on its own, very machine to machine as well. Isn't that great? Affinity microarrays, DNA sequencers, electrophoresis. We don't know what we're doing. It just never ends. Electrophoresis is a laboratory technique used to separate DNA, RNA, or protein molecules based on their size and electrical charge. An electric current is used to move the molecules through a gel or other matrix. Well, I'll tell you, we've seen this at the iGEM students. They have a happy, fun time with that. DNA sequences, okay. Mass spectrometry. What are we looking at here? Tools required to capture human biological information at different levels of scale. So we got DNA sequencing, electrophoresis, affinity microarrays. What are those? This is called defining terms. Okay? Microarrays are used to study protein to protein and protein to DNA interactions. They can be used to identify potential drug targets, biomarkers, and to screen for antibodies. Sabrina, what is that? Wetware? What? Watch. So here on the channel, we're like, hey, are you going to tell people about your cute little cell phones that are using software called wetware that logs into people's biosensors? No. It's using the same phase array systems we're using for missile defense on that millimeter wave. With software like Bioconductor, which is free, open source, and Linux Swiss cheese available. Free open source and open development software project for the analysis and comprehension of genomics data generated by wet lab experiments in molecular biology. Bioconductor is based primarily on that statistical R programming language, but does contain contributions in other programming languages, 2 releases each year, blah, blah, blah. Most users will find the release version appropriate for their needs. In addition, there are many genome annotation packages available that are mainly but not solely oriented toward different types of, what are we reading about? Microarrays. So if your brain went, oh, I think I've seen that. Yes, you have. A microarray is a multiplex lab on a chip. Its purpose is to simultaneously detect the expression of thousands of biological interactions. Thousands. It is a 2-dimensional array on a solid substrate, usually glass slide or silicon thin film cell, that tests large amounts of biology. And you will notice, as I try to point out every time I do this, that includes your biosensors, right there on the right-hand side. Point of care is sensor actuating, so they can adjust your insulin pump or check your Abilify pill that you swallowed, like a smart pill. Isn't that great? Aren't you excited? I can tell you're very, very excited. Let me show you how it connects in the wireless, again, for those of you who might be new, and for those of you who are not. Here we go, back to 802.15.4. There she is. We're going to log into that there millimeter wave on the 802.15.4. Not a problem. At the physical layer of the body area network. And what is that called? Your skin. Next paper, scientific reports emission from human skin in the sub-terahertz frequency band. Hang on. Make it a little easier to read here. Okay. Recently published radiometric measurements of human subjects in the frequency range 480 to 700 gigahertz demonstrate the emission of black body radiation from the body core rather than the skin's surface. We present a detailed electromagnetic simulation of the dermis and epidermis. Taking into account the presence of the sweat duct, this complex structure can be considered as an electromagnetic biometamaterial, whereby the layered structure, along with the topology of the sweat duct, reveals a complex interference pattern in the skin. The model is capable of accurately representing the skin grayness factor as a function of frequency, and this is confirmed by radiometry of the living human skin. Modern healthcare greatly benefits from non-invasive diagnostic techniques, especially if they are passive. Yet there are surprisingly few methodologies for this. Beyond visual inspection, some work has been done on thermal imaging, facial recognition, and even using Doppler radar to monitor heartbeat. Zoom in real nice and close on that. Sorry for the sunshine, but I'm enjoying it today. Oh, Doppler radar to monitor the heartbeat. That's right. That's what I was showing you in the last videos and many others over on Synergy channel on Rumble. However, the avenues for such monitoring are restricted by what can be emitted via human skin. Recently, radiometry experiments on human subject has revealed that in the sub-terahertz frequency band, 480 gigahertz to 700 gigahertz, the emitted signal can reflect the level of stress experienced by the person. This work suggested the body core temperature is a source of black body radiation that was modulated by its passage through the skin. To understand better the nature of transmission through the skin, one can use a simulation model. In this work, we perform analysis of electromagnetic response of the human skin in the frequency range of 500 gigahertz up to 700 gigahertz by studying the simulated transmission coefficient in this frequency range. Now, normies, I'm helping you out here by not stopping and reading all these different mathematical symbols and sigils, seals, your variables. And the reason that I do that sometimes is because I'm already reading out a bunch of terms that you're probably not all that familiar with, and I don't want you to feel like you're drowning in acronyms like I always do. So I try to either say the entire word rather than the acronym, and like right there with S21, whatever it is, I just don't bother. If you want to know, and if you're somebody who is from biophysics, biomedical engineering, etc., well, you go right on ahead. Nobody going to stop you. But for the normal people out there and people who are trying to learn, that's our skin. That's the physical layer of computer networking through the human body. Okay? All right, here we go. So, we're looking at the electromagnetic response of the human skin in the frequency range of 500 gigahertz up to 700 gigahertz by studying the simulated transmission coefficient in this frequency range. Using this approach, we clarify what part of the black body radiation passes the human skin to the outer world and what part of the skin, considered as a layered system with non-flat boundaries, is the dominant component in this mechanism. The simulation work is based on an electromagnetic human skin model that was developed in-house. The new model optimized for the current analysis contains two sections of the sweat duct, the upper epidermal coiled outlet duct and the dermal duct outlet, which was previously ignored. In the interaction of microwave radiation and human beings, the skin is traditionally considered as just an absorbing stratum sponge filled with water. In 2008, we demonstrated that such a view is inconsistent for the sub-terahertz band. Human sweat gland ducts are coiled in the epidermis, and given their geometry, dimensions, and electrical properties, could be regarded as electromagnetic entities. We demonstrated that the sweat duct could have electromagnetic behaviors reminiscent of helical antennas. Definition, please. Survey says, a helical antenna is an antenna consisting of one or more conducting wires wound in the form of a helix. Fascinating. Oh, okay. Give me back my paper. Bring back my show. Experimental evidence was presented that the reflectance of the human skin in the sub-terahertz region strongly depends on the level of activity of the perspiration system. Additionally, it correlates with the physiological stress as manifested, e.g., by the galvanic skin response, pulse rate, and the systolic blood pressure. Recently, we modeled the skin's reflectance to an impinging sub-terahertz field using our model based on the dimensions and dielectric parameters of the skin layers and structures like the sweat duct. Based on this model, we have extracted the most suitable AC, alternating current conductivity, values, more math, of the sweat duct by fitting our simulation results to experimental values of reflection coefficient from human skin. I only point that out for those of you that are still struggling to understand that these are jobs. Okay, the different things that electrical engineers do with all these different measurements and their biomedical friends, and there's a bunch of other types of computer engineers and things involved, but all of it is interconnected, and that's why there are standards that are overseen by the IEC, the International Electrotechnical Commission, the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, handed down to ISO standards to the IEEE, your International Electronics and Electrical Engineers, writing out the formulae, usually at the local level for a bunch of this stuff. So, let's see. An interesting outcome of this work is the recognition that future 5G transmissions will lead to standing wave absorptions in the skin. Frequency people, pat yourself on the back. We know. It's cool. One more time. Based on this model, we have extracted the most suitable alternating current conductivity values of the sweat duct by fitting our simulation results to experimental values of reflection coefficient from human skin. An interesting outcome of this work is the recognition that future 5G transmissions will lead to standing wave absorptions in the skin, where the presence of the sweat duct will play a dominant role. In the most recent work, a radiometric study of human emissions around 500 to 507 gigahertz was conducted on 32 volunteers. The experimental setup was based around a superconducting integrated receiver. The superconducting integrated receiver was used to measure the brightness temperature of subject's skin at 500 and 507 gigahertz for the entire subject pool. Additionally, spectral measurements in the range of 480 to 700 gigahertz were carried out on 3 subjects. Tuning the superconducting what? I want to make sure I say it right. Integrated receiver. Superconducting integrated receiver. For tuning it for each frequency point is a time-consuming process. The results demonstrated the first evidence that human stress directly affects the emission of skin. In addition, the experiment suggested that the source of the emission was, in fact, black body radiation from the body core rather than the skin surface. Well, somebody tell Rudolf Steiner, because he said that a long time ago. I was just listening to it last night from that guy I was arguing with on the channel. He asked me to take a look at a certain video. That's exactly what Steiner said. No kidding. I'm serious. You'll find out later, though. So anyways, to better understand this statement, one must investigate just how radiation in this frequency range passes through the skin and can only be done by simulation. In the following sections, the Department of Applied Physics, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, oh, here they come, the Department of Physics in Israel. Lovely. Where's my date? 2022. Oh, looky. It's your interstitium, a schematic of human skin showing the main human skin layers and coiled sweat duct. Why do you do piloerection, you weirdos? Oh, I don't know. You're right there. And so are we, saying, get out of me. Some of us can actually control the electromagnetism of our own body and our own bioelectricity, and we're rather uppity about this because you guys are always trying to get in the way with your nano things and electrocuting people while they're walking through their house. We're like, y'all can't find different jobs to do? Like, really? This was what you were going for? When I grow up, I'm going to Stepford wife everybody in the whole damn world. And if they ask me about it, I'll tell them how stupid they are. There's nothing I can do about it. Leave me the hell alone. I'm busy. Going to work. Oh, upper coiled duct outlet. This is figure 2. Schematics of eccrine sweat gland. We provide a brief scientific background to the structure of human skin. The human skin model described, and finally, the simulation results, discussion, and conclusions are presented. Human skin anatomy. Human skin consists of 3 main layers, epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous fatty layer. The outermost 2 layers, epidermis and dermis, are illustrated in figure 1 for the relatively thick skin of the hand. Our skin contains 2 to 5 million eccrine sweat gland ducts, each of which consists of 3 main parts. Well, it's about secretions, but secretory, because I don't think it's secretory department, the dermal duct outlet, and the upper coiled outlet duct. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that right either, but the eccrine sweat glands are located at the bottom of the dermis and are deployed throughout the skin. Optical coherence tomography, Synergy Tech Metric PDF, imaging of the human palm. Now we're palm reading. has revealed that the sweat duct in human skin is coiled in the epidermis layer with a mean diameter of about 90 and a mean thickness in the epidermis measured on a sample size of 32 subject, and the epidermis can be divided into sub-layers. This depends on different areas of the skin, but is usually between 4 to 5 in number. Okay, let's keep going here for a moment. Leading to a water gradient throughout the epidermis layer. Figure 3 shows the epidermis water concentration profile as a function of the palm skin's depth, measured in the palms of the hand of 15 subjects. The measurements were made in vivo. Here, Raymond, MATLAB, with their human frequency bands, and Riemann resurfacing with Raman spectra since the 30s, were obtained at different depths below the skin using a confocal Raman spectrometer. The average depth of the epidermis was 173 with a standard deviation of 37. Reproduced Egawa, copyright 2007, advanced in dermatology and venereology. It was shown that the helical structure of the human eccrine sweat ducts together with the dielectric properties of the human skin has electromagnetic properties that resemble to those of passive low Q factor helical antennas. Hey, the human body makes a 6G antenna. The human body communication is the best antenna. Okay, you want to start doing that math? Or do you want to call me woo-woo some more? I'm just curious. Or anybody else that's doing the reading on this for real. Huh! You gotta be kidding me. The amount of testing that they've done for the millimeter wave to do the actuation on your insulin pump. Okay, just to give you an example. And you're surprised by what Trump drug them out there to make them talk about? We're not. For almost 3 years now. Starting to see why? That's called mathematics. No, it's just some random white paper. They were just testing in a laboratory. Nope. We have computer models, and a lot of this is old. You should look up how old galvanic skin response is.